Hello and welcome to Who Wore It Better, where I review Raw and Smackdown back-to-back and try and figure out which show won for the week. Before I get into that, though, a quick congratulations to Colt, Cabana, and CM Punk. The verdict came down Tuesday afternoon. They were found not guilty in the defamation trial against WWE Dr. Chris Amon. Of course, Amon sued the two several years ago over the comments they made in the Art of Wrestling podcast. Feels like eons ago. It was a very long time ago when that podcast was recorded and released. So yeah, we're looking at the trial notes. It just seemed that there was no way that Amon was going to win this case for defamation because, you know, the comments against him didn't really to knock down his value. You know, he remains employed with the company to this day. He hasn't lost any patients or clients. So what ground legally did he have to stand on? It wasn't really legal defamation in the truest sense of the word. So now with Punk having won this court case, let's see if he can keep that turn into a win streak with his fight at UFC 225 on Saturday. Raw opens up with Elias playing a song about how he hit Seth Rollins from behind with a guitar the previous week, accompanied by the footage of the replay from that spot last week on Raw. I did get a chuckle out of Elias's line where he says, "Last week was painful for me too. I had to smash one of my favorite guitars." Great line. So he's singing the song. Seth Rollins interrupts him. They have a standoff when he has a chair versus guitar, and then Jinder Mahal comes out, beats up Seth, and then out comes Roman Reigns, and golly gee, I wonder what's going to come up next. It's going to be a tag match, playa. Good Lord, how lazy is this? 2 weeks in a row we have this conflict leads to tag team match in the first segment of the show. Are these writers getting paid that little that they can't be bothered to come up with a more imaginative way to open up the show anymore, to create this kind of conflict? Also, David Otunga was the third man on commentary this week. I was like, oh no, was Booker T out sick? He couldn't replace Coach this time. Elias hits Rollins. First off, Seth Rollins brings a chair into the ring. Elias hits Rollins with the DDT on the chair. The referee does not call it DQ. And then Elias hits the drift away on Seth to win the match. A lot of confusion over, well, shouldn't that have been disqualification because Elias used the chair? And according to Lance Storm even said this on Twitter, that there was a meeting that they had to discuss this where it's like, because Seth brought the chair in the ring, he introduced the chair, and then the chair was used on him in an incidental way, then it's bad luck for Seth, no disqualification, because it wasn't the bad guy's fault that the chair was there. It's the good guy's fault. So that's that discrepancy explained. Between both Raw and SmackDown, I feel that the singles match leading into a tag team or promo conflict into tag has become such a crutch. I mean, just on Raw, like I said, 2 weeks in a row we've had this. What do you think the overall number is for 2018 at this point in general? It's got to be a huge number. Kurt Hawkins announces that when he wins his match tonight and breaks his losing streak and doesn't go 200 in a row of losses, everyone in the arena will get a free taco. His opponent is local man James Harden. Now, that name had to have been chosen specifically for this because they were in Houston, Texas, and there was a player on the Houston Rockets basketball team named James Harden. This guy was not that James Harden. Hawkins looks to have the match in hand, but then out comes Baron Corbin, Mr. Fun Killer. He comes out and he beats up James Harden, which causes Kurt to lose via disqualification, so it's 200 straight losses. He gets all the tacos dumped on him by Corbin, and that I thought was going to be the end of that for Baron Corbin, but then we see him backstage confronting Kurt Angle. Now, by decree of Stephanie McMahon, Baron Corbin is now going to be his Constable Corbin. There you go. I guess they didn't have a whole lot of ideas for what to do with Baron for the next several months, so let's make him a secondary authority figure. Of all the people on Raw who you could have said, who's going to be a secondary authority figure to Angle, to counter Kurt Angle's stuff and be checks and balances? Literally the last person I would have ever picked was Baron Corbin. So there you go. If he doesn't show up next week wearing a Bobby hat, I will riot. Up next, Nia Jax takes on Natalya in a non-title matchup. Ronda Rousey is on commentary once again, and once again, she is not very good at that. Why do they keep putting her in this position where she is forced to talk and doesn't do a very good job at it? She just doesn't have a good chemistry and repartee with the announce team. It sounds like she's not really ready for that part yet. They act on commentary like no one's taken Nia Jax down before. It's like Alexa Bliss has taken down Nia plenty of times, and she's half the size of Natalya, so I don't get why we're supposed to be so impressed when Natalya does it. Nia wins with a Samoan drop after Natty tweaks her knee at some point coming off the rope, so she seems to hurt her knee, and so Nia takes advantage, wins the match. Nia wants to check and see if Natalya's all right, but Ronda's checking on her and saying like, no, just get away from this. And I was kind of expecting to see Nia go like full heel on Ronda at that point, beat her up, and continue what they did from last week, but they didn't. It doesn't happen that way. And so then we see later backstage where Nia just wants to check in on Natalya, and like and Nia and Ronda are fighting over who's the better friend to Natalya, and then Natalya walks away. And is that the route they're going with this match now, to build their heat? It's like, oh, who's the better friend? I liked where they were going last week with Nia beating up the jobber and kind of laughing in Ronda's face about it. Where was that this week? That was totally strange. The one thing that's consistent about Nia Jax lately is her inconsistency. Up next is Bobby Roode versus Braun Strowman. Interesting that a match featuring two bearded men would be sponsored by a razor. Anyway, Strowman's tossing around Roode a lot in this matchup. At one point, Strowman gets a ladder and makes a bridge between the ring apron and the barricade. He chases Bobby Roode around, and Roode ducks under the ladder. Is like, haha, what are you gonna do? There's a ladder in between us. And so Strowman just breaks it in half with his bare hands, which looks very impressive, of course. And Roode is gobsmacked and tries running away, but no luck. Running power slam, Strowman wins. Again, Strowman looking very, very, very strong in the build-up to Money in the Bank. We get an in-ring promo from the Raw Tag Team Champions, Matt and Bray, the Deleter of Worlds. They finally got the names right in the right order on the lower third of their name key. So we're Bray and Matt, and there was Bray and there was Matt. It's amazing. Magic has finally happened. Also, not gonna lie, I do kind of want their new t-shirt. They cut a little promo about whoever wins, in the Tag Team Battle Royal coming up, that they will be deleted and all that stuff. I do love how Cole every week constantly mispronounces the names, intentionally mispronounces the names of Rebby Sky and King Maxwell in his Twitter beefs. Which then leads us into the Tag Team Battle Royal, where the winner will take on Matt and Bray for the Raw Tag Titles. JoJo carries on with the explanation of the rules as if we don't know what a Battle Royal is, as the match is ongoing. I feel like a video game glitch, whereas the match is going on, but the audio track for JoJo is still playing. It's down to B Team versus Slater and Rhino. Slater accidentally costs his own team the match when he picks up Bo Dallas, but he knocks Rhino off the apron, and so the B Team wins. They celebrate like they just won the championships or whatever. It's great, but I'm begging them, please get some new music. That is just not working for their gimmick. For the last couple of weeks, Bobby Lashley's been on the receiving end of a lot of mean-spirited words from Sami Zayn. And so he comes out here to address his allegations. He's all smiles and high-fiving fans. He clearly didn't get the memo on how he's supposed to act during this whole thing. But I mean, as far as like, oh, they're hyping up, he's going to respond to the comments Sami Zayn made. Isn't that what he's been doing the last couple of weeks? Anyway, he calls out Sami Zayn, but Sami shows up in the crowd. He doesn't want to get in the ring with Bobby because he hurt his hand last time in the handshake, and he calls him a liar and a fraud. He posts these like inspirational quotes, these inspirational memes that Lashley posts on his Instagram as, oh, he's so fraudulent and everything. He's a fake guy. And then he ends the promo by questioning Bobby Lashley's military service, which, okay, never would have seen that coming. It's like, it's heat. Okay, I don't know how to feel about that. It's like, how do we go from men in drag to accusations of stolen valor? That was just like a leap I did not expect to see happening in this feud. Bobby Lashley just keeps asking him, where are you going? What are you doing? Where are you going? Where and what indeed? Backstage, we have dueling promos between Jinder Mahal and Roman Reigns. There are different parts of the arena, and like they answer a question, then it goes to Roman, or it goes back and forth for a bit. Then they eventually find each other in the arena and fight for a bit. Afterward, then it's broken up. I actually don't mind the idea of having simultaneous interviews between rivals. It's been done before. I think it'd be an effective storytelling tool. Like I'm harkened back to last year during No Mercy and the build, not No Mercy, Great Balls of Fire, the build for that between Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar. That was really cool. I like the idea of those simultaneous dueling promos. It's just too bad I don't care about this feud. 6-woman tag team match as Alexa Bliss, Sasha Banks, and Ember Moon take on the Riot Squad. What an odd trio we have here with Alexa, Sasha, and Ember. A couple minutes in, though, Alexa does leave the match with an apparent leg injury. Did we not just see this with Natalya in the first hour? Odds are not in Alexa and Ember's favor when suddenly Bayley comes in and makes the save. She gets right in there, hits the belly-to-belly on Logan, and they win the match, so it seems. But Constable Corbin objects. Backstage, he tells Kurt Angle that, hey, Bayley was not officially in that match, so that shouldn't count, and you should reverse the decision, or I'm going to tell Stephanie on you, or whatever. A, what the fuck does he care? And B, so the referee's decision, I guess, is not final. Again, for a while it was final, and now it's not. Again, they are consistent with their inconsistency. So then after that segment, you see Kurt going backstage to the 3 winners and telling them that, oh, actually the match had to be reversed, and so everyone hates Bayley now. All of a sudden. They liked her just a minute ago. And then you see, right after they cut to Baron Corbin, like, chastising referee John Cone over the decision, but he's not mic'd, and you don't hear what he's saying. And that's the end of that segment. Whee! We get a nice little segment on the stage where Big Show puts over the Special Olympics USA Games. Then we have an advertisement for next week on Raw where you have a women's fatal four-way featuring Natalya and Alexa, both of whom are listed as doubtful with their injuries. I can't remember the last time I've ever seen that happening, where it's like you have two different women, one a face and one a heel, who are both kind of like in this kayfabe injured mode leading into not just the Fatal 4-Way, but also the Money in the Bank as well. I don't recall anything like it's like I don't know where they're going with it. That's the curious thing to me. It's like, is it just coincidence they've booked two women to have kayfabe injuries? You should just have all the women in Money in the Bank get kayfabe injuries leading into the match itself, so by the time the match actually happens, they've already started out just limping and being injured, and then it's more like high stakes. We then get our main event, Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor. They're saying it's the first time they've wrestled in WWE. I guess we're not going to include Beast in the East for the NXT title. KO hates Too Sweet. He mentioned it in a backstage promo earlier, and he's saying it here in the match. He's just yelling, too sweet in a mocking way at Finn here. Very good match until a very disappointing finish when Kevin Owens gets disqualified for not getting out of the corner and beating up Finn before the 5 count is over. So he gets disqualified. It does lead to a cool end of the segment, though, when Kevin brings in a ladder, tries to will himself off the top. He wants to do a jumping move, but he can't bring himself to do it. As he's climbing down, Finn knocks him off, and then he goes to the top, very top of the ladder, hits the coup de grace, which must have hurt. Finn climbs the ladder again, grabs the briefcase, and he poses. Well, at least the main event was cool on Monday. Before I move on to SmackDown, this week's Who Wore It Better is sponsored by SeatGeek. It's an app you can download on your iOS or Android device. Gets you access to tickets for concerts, sporting events, WWE, you name it. You can find the tickets you're looking for at the right price thanks to SeatGeek. Green means you're getting a good deal. Red means you're getting a not so great deal. But you can download the SeatGeek app using the link at the top of this description. Go to the Accounts tab, put in the promo code REGRET, and get $20 back on your first ticket purchase. SmackDown begins with Carmella, the women's champion, making her way to the ring, and she says she wants to expose the real Asuka. My first thought was, oh no, she's not going to bring out Asuka's brothers, is she? But no, she just plays a couple of contrasting video packages. One shows how dominant she was up until WrestleMania. Then the second hype package shows like, oh, she lost at WrestleMania. She lost her first match on SmackDown, that tag team match when Becky took the fall. And then they show like the first part of her match last week with Mandy Rose, where she like looked beat up for a bit, but she wound up winning that match, so that was kind of a weird inclusion there. And then Asuka interrupts, then out come Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, and they each want a piece of Asuka. Out comes Paige and tells Asuka, pick which one you want to fight, and Asuka's like, I'll take them both, I'm hardcore. So it's a handicap match. Asuka takes on Mandy and Sonya while Carmella is on commentary. It's the same shtick as last week where she repeats the same 2 phrases or so over and over again. I did love the double down in this matchup here where Sonya and Asuka, they kick each other in the head, they both fall down. There's a little botch when Sonya gets tagged in the forehead by Asuka's knee, but they do carry forth and keep going on with the match. Asuka makes Sonya tap out to the Asuka lock to win. Good luck for Asuka, beating 2, not jobbers by any means, because they're building up Sonya and Mandy pretty well the last few weeks, so this is a nice, win for her. I'm wondering all of a sudden, where are the Iconics? Haven't seen them lately. That's kind of an aside. Carmella hits Asuka from behind with the title and a kick to the mush, stands tall at the end. It's a pretty good build here. Carmella is definitely that kind of character that people are begging to see beat. And so yeah, I don't want to see her doing commentary anymore just for the sake of my ears, but again, it's heat, and so I guess it's working. After an entertaining backstage bit with the New Day and The Miz where they trick him into dipping his hand into a hat full of pancake batter, we then get a match between Harper of the Bludgeon Brothers and Carl Anderson. It's a pretty short match. Anderson scores the upset with a schoolboy. I think this means that Harper and Rowan have each lost a singles match since their repackaging. Still unbeaten in tag action though, but yeah, this match can take it or leave it. In a follow-up to the chaos of last week's dance-off competition, we've got mixed tag team action, which we don't see that very often these days, as Jimmy Uso and Naomi take on Lana and Aiden English. Rusev's in the main event, so that's why he's not here tagging with Lana tonight. Early in the match, Naomi dives to the outside onto Aiden and Lana, and she may very well have died if Aiden wasn't there to catch her on the way down. Lucky break for Naomi. Lana hits Naomi with a pair of knees to the back of Naomi's head, like into the ropes, and they look very snug. Good back and forth between the two teams. Naomi hitting a crossbody on English, and that sets up for a super kick by Jimmy into the throat of Aiden English. So the good guys win here. Good stuff. I'm all for seeing more mixed tag team matches. Like I said last week, seeing this kind of like commingling of like male and female angles, I think adds a lot of variety to both shows. It's the official contract signing for AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. It's a pre-taped backstage segment at a big conference room table when Paige is presiding over the signing and everything. AJ gets mad at Shinsuke's antics and then he slaps him in the face after he signs the contract. Shinsuke doesn't seem too upset by it, and that's pretty much it. It's a short and sweet segment, shows that AJ's fired up, has no fear of Shinsuke, and is tired of his BS. Well, Shinsuke can still get under AJ's skin and be all still sneaky. I think it was very effective. It's a battle of friends, face versus face, as Becky Lynch takes on Charlotte. Good match here, good showing of sportsmanship between both sides throughout the match. There's one point where each woman grabs each other's foot, they catch the foot at the same time, and they're both hopping around. They count to 3 at the same time to put down each other's foot and keep wrestling. The match ends when Charlotte goes to the figure 8, but Becky counters it into a disarm her. Charlotte taps out, so Becky wins. Pretty big deal for Becky to beat Charlotte clean by submission here. Probably one of the biggest wins she's had in quite some time, I feel like. However, it makes you wonder just what the point of Charlotte beating Asuka at WrestleMania was, because since Mania, Charlotte's lost the SmackDown Women's title to Carmella, lost the rematch, and now lost here to Becky Lynch. So, you know, who beat Asuka then? After a really good promo by Samoa Joe backstage, we go to Renee Young, who's out in the Mean Gene position to interview Big Cass out in the crowd. That was kind of a nice little throwback to do it there from that angle. Cass remains unimpressed at Daniel Bryan's size. He says that his win at Backlash was a fluke, and he's gonna, you know, break his arms and break his legs and all that stuff. It was a good, he says, a good big man will always beat a good little man. I thought it was a strong promo by Cass here. Backstage, Sin Cara is jumped from behind by Andrade Cien Almas as a follow-up to the snub from last week. They're going to have a match next week on SmackDown. And has anyone seen Sandy lately? Main event time, a 6-man tag team match as The Miz, Rusev, and Samoa Joe take on The New Day. Pretty good match here in the main event. My favorite part of the whole thing was when Kofi does his trust fall from the apron to the outside of the ring, but he was straight on with a hard cam when he did it, and so when he does it, it's like when Mario dies in Super Mario Brothers on the NES. He jumps up and then he falls down out of frame. That was a really cool bit there. The match ends when Miz gets ready to throw pancakes at Big E, and Rusev and Joe are holding him up, but then Miz gets distracted. He tosses the pancakes, but Big E's gone by this point, and so he hits Rusev and Joe with the pancakes, and they act like he threw used condoms at them. It's like, dude, it's pancakes. Why are you so mad at Miz? They each beat him up, and they leave him high and dry, and allows them to the New Day to win the match and beat the Miz. So yeah, good match overall. But yeah, this is the whole idea that Rusev and Joe would be so offended that the pancakes were thrown at them. I guess that really puts the pancakes over as it's kind of like something goofy like Chris Jericho's list. It's only as powerful as it is depending on how people react to it, basically. So when people react to the pancakes that way, I guess the pancakes are over and they're strong. I don't know. Time now for me to decide which show won for the week, Raw or SmackDown. And again, not much of a debate. SmackDown wins again this week. I will say for Raw, I did enjoy the B team's antics. They are a ray of sunshine on an otherwise dark and dreary day to me. And I enjoyed the main event of Balor and Owens. Even though the finish of the match itself sucked with a DQ finish, the whole segment ended strong with the battle over the ladder and then the coup de grace off the top of the ladder by Finn and posing with the briefcase. But yeah, the lazy booking of conflict leads to tag team match playa. That's kind of what we have now, this pattern now on Raw. Constable Corbin, okay, I'm going to remain kind of cautiously optimistic about I'm just going to see where this goes, man. I don't really care either way, but let's have it end on some kind of positive note. Who really knows for sure? But I'm this is just weird to see Corbin in this role. And the Lashley Zayn segment, how hard is it to book a match, build for a match like this? It seems so weird that where we've gone, where we've been taken on this journey between the two guys, and just how Sammy is acting this certain way, he's being so antagonistic, and Bobby Lashley is just not emoting. It feels he's not emoting properly for this thing. He's not giving Sammy that satisfaction. He's not giving the viewers the satisfaction that he is being perturbed by all this. It finally took Sammy to question his military service from finally getting mad to the point where he just frowned a little bit. How often it's oh, you can't make Bobby Lashley frown because he has to smile all the time. Then over on SmackDown, it wasn't a knock your socks off exciting show, but it was a more solid show and less head scratching than Raw for sure. It had a lot of good things to go for it, like the Asuka handicap match against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Becky and Charlotte was a good match. The mixed tag team match was fun. The contract signing was a strong segment to build the title match itself. And the six-man tag team match, it wasn't amazing, but it was still kind of a fun way to end the show. Anderson and Harper was a match you could have taken it or leave it. I didn't need to see that match. And then Carmella on commentary. Mella is mentory. Mella is money. Mella is mental. I just don't want to see her doing commentary anymore. Let me know what you guys thought about Raw and SmackDown this week in the comment section below, and be sure to vote which show you thought was better in the gimmick in the upper right hand corner of your screen. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com, and check out Patreon.com/WrestlingWithRegret for exclusive perks and bonus content. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.